One of the methods of Satan is lying. And of course, this would seem very obvious because he is the father of lies. But lying is a temptation that's going to come from Satan, which its intent is to actually create a false or misleading impression. He is the father of lies, and therefore, everywhere we find lying, he is going to be involved. We see this over in John chapter 8 and verse 44, where Jesus is responding to the Pharisees who are actually following Satan. He says, "You are out from the father, the devil. The desires of your father you desirously will to do. He was a manslayer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks out from his own because he is a liar and the father of it." He is the one who initiated the lie, and the lie that's being referred to there is independence from God. Now, ultimately, all of his attacks, that is his intent, is to get us to act independently from God. He influences situations to persuade saints to even lie to God. We see this in Acts chapter 5 and verse 3 with Ananias, and Peter responds to him and says, "But Peter said, Ananias, because of why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit and you to pilfer from the price of the land?" Of course, in the context there, as Peter is talking to Ananias, he says, the land was yours. You never had to sell it. And when you sold it, the money was yours. You never had to give it. And when you gave, you could have given as much as you wanted. Yet Satan filled his heart to pilfer some of the price of the land, to actually lie to God. Not speaking the truth is actually a really big deal. Even a little lie is a direct result of influence of Satan, whether it's him directly or through his demons. This is something that we should be paying attention to. And of course, anybody who is lying should be called out for their lie, especially those who are in authority. And when it comes to the world system, lying is actually an integrated part of it. And we need to be cautious about that as Christians. So those who are of the world system is fond of. We see John chapter 15 and verse 19 talks about that. So they are going to follow these lies. But those in the church who follow after Satan and follow after these lies are actually following after the Antichrist. Sadly, we actually have some come out from the church who don't belong to the church. That is, they're not Christians. They claim to be Christians, but they're lying. They're not speaking the truth. Because the reality is, if they actually were Christians, they would stay with the Christians. No, instead, they go out and they start new denominations and new churches so that they can actually spread their lies. The Apostle John talks about this over in 1 John chapter 2 and verse 19. They are the ones who belong to the world. So lying is a part of their life. Don't let the lies of this world cause us to react in fear. We are the children of God, and we need to remember that. We are here to offer reconciliation to the world and show them hope through our actions, through the way we actually live. Over in 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 15, Peter reminds us that we are to set apart Christ as Lord in our hearts and always be ready to give a defense to everyone who asks for a reason of the hope that is in you, with objectivity of mind and respect. Whether it's lying about a pandemic, making up a catastrophic event that never comes true, or through threats of either violence or imprisonment or other things like that, the world system is actually kept in check because Satan uses those to manipulate those of the world system. And unfortunately, this can also be used against a saint if they're not paying attention. And you can react out of fear rather than looking at things as they really are. Remember, the whole world lies in the wicked one. That is, lying as a child in its mother's arms. He's rocking the world to sleep so that it's not paying attention to what he's doing. 1 John chapter 5 and verse 10. We know that we are of God, and the world and the whole world lies in the malignant and the evil one. Now, knowing that the world system is from Satan and lies are an integral part of the world system, we as Christians should use it, but not abuse it. We should be paying attention to what it's actually offering, taking the things that are good so that we can glorify God through our actions and rejecting the other ones. 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 31, and those who use this world as not abusing it, for the form of this world is passing away. There is no happiness that this world actually offers us. Because the reality is the desires of this world are always changing. So rather than following after the things of the world system, we as Christians should be seeking out and doing God's will, because the reality is God's will never changes. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 17. The world is passing away and the desires of it, but he who does the will of God abides into the age. Don't let lies bring fear. Look at the truth. Look at how things really are. Stand firm. Remember, we are ones who belong to God, and there is nothing that can separate us from him.